Hey, what's going on? It is part 3 of the Loaded Wednesday slate on Sideline Sports / South Florida Tribune. You just got off with the Sports Exchange. It was a loaded show. Shout out to Scott, Jeremy, Mitch, George, everybody that was on there, including the two gentlemen that are coming up. We're about to do some Cubs baseball. Got some news going on in the last week. Little ball playing, controversial ejection they're going to talk about. But all that's coming up here. Let's go ahead and bring on our our host, JB Ellis, the Chicago Crusader.
What's going on, everybody? Another exciting week of Cubs baseball. Some disappointments, some good stuff happening. Let's bring on Mr. Ubbs. Let's just get started.
Oh, yeah, and wonder. I mean, not a bad week. Not a bad week at all, actually. You know, I'm just talking. No, I'm talking about I'm talking about a couple two out of three and then split.
Yeah, let's start with the 2 out of 3 against Tampa. So Tampa
should have been a sweep. Should have been a sweep.
Tampa, probably the best team in baseball at the moment. You know, the Cubs went out and played probably their best 3-game set of the year. What you see over the first 2 games that they won, and what was the reason that they couldn't take the 3rd game?
No hitting from the first, but it's like tremendous. First was unbelievable. The first one was unbelievable pitching. Stroman, unbelievable. That was one of our best. That's probably a top 25, 30 all time. The pitching performance right then and there. That for the Cubs at least. As far as a team effort, that was awesome. That was wonderful. And then of course they couldn't hit. Then Hendricks, still not the same, and we're going to go into that from the standard, but not a bad pitching performance. He still hasn't found his control at all, but he still did enough, and they end up getting 2-1. And they got that one. Still weren't hitting enough, but they got enough to win. When they finally get to a point in the 3rd game when they needed to hit, and stuff like that, then they lose in the final at bat, and that's just because they stopped hitting. They couldn't hit at all. They just got lucky the pitching was so good.
Yeah, so, I mean, what do you take out of a series against a tough opponent? You have a chance to sweep, but you don't with this Cubs team. What do you take from it?
Well, it burns them, and I'll call them Ross losses. There are certain Ross losses that you choose. You know what I mean? When they have maybe it's every loss that we pick, but that's what happens with it. He makes dumb decisions, especially late. And I keep saying, I think this team's fun. I think they're a manager away. But these are the types that if he would have swept the top team, the Rays, if you would have swept that, you could have had some momentum. Instead, you go on to San Diego, which you could have had even more, and then you end up getting a split.
Let's talk about San Diego. San Diego's, you look at that series and disappointment is a good word to look at. Yeah, it was a sweep, but just not the best performances.
They stopped hitting at the worst times, and that's why I'm going to bring this up. You wonder if this would happen with a different manager. There's specific things that they've got to do to be able to bring the thing back up. Remember, this is Tampa. They stopped hitting there. And they won 2 games, but it was 1-0 and 2-1. Then they get 3 in that series. Then the first game they win 2-1. Then they get shut out twice, and then they have a 7. But see, every single time they get 7 or 10 or 13, or remember last year they had 21 game. Every time they get anything like this, then they stop hitting for 4 games. It's like this has happened every year he's been manager. This did not happen with Madden. Remember this.
So last year, season 1 Cubfidential, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had a different analyst on, and their idea was to do a kumbaya thing. Maybe everyone goes surfing while they were in San Diego. What do you think about that thought?
If it means having fun, because the team, they've got to be doing something, because remember, the team is fun. The team's fun. They have a lot of time with this. They do a lot with this team. But, it's like, what happened with him? Get on. Oh, there you are.
Yes.
They have fun. They have fun together. They may do that stuff. Who knows? But this isn't the Madden team that used to have. Remember how many little theme things they would have, like Hawaiian themes and all that kind of stuff in the locker room. That's probably something like that's done, but in the end, they got to produce.
So what's your thoughts on Hendricks after 2 starts right now?
I don't mind, believe it or not, I don't mind the hits, because that's going to happen when you've just gotten off surgery. That you get nailed. I don't mind that. Uncalled for are the walks, which he's never done. Not through his career. He's always been a highly controlled pitcher. All of a sudden, you're seeing 2 walks in an inning sometimes. It's like, I don't know if it was the whole thing in the minors, them saying that they wanted him to be able to get more velocity. I don't know what it was. And he stopped that. Here's the thing. He's tried it in the very first game with the velocity. And then he was throwing. He had like 3 walks. And then for about 2 of the innings, like 8 straight pitches, he went back to his 84 mile per hour and he was getting everybody out. And then until the regular. So to me, I don't know what it is, but he's lost his control right now. Overall, he's about a 5 ERA. That's what he is. He had his second good game. And no, he had 3. I think he has 3 starts right now, doesn't he?
I thought it was 2.
But see, he lost that first game with the 10 spot. Second game he won 2-1, but he no decision. And then the third one was 5-0. So yeah, he lost. It was 3. It's 3 starts. He's just losing all control in certain specific spots, which he never did. He may give up base hits. He may give up home runs, but you knew he'd get out of it because he never threw walks. Now he's throwing walks, and that's a trouble right now.
No, definitely. I completely agree. Let's go to the game on the 5th a couple of days ago on Monday night when Ross got ejected, arguing balls and strikes. What was your thoughts on what happened? And, was he right at that point?
Good for him. Good for him for sticking up you got to stick up for your players. I know that's the least of his issues. He'll do that. You got to stick. But you can do that in the minors. But the big thing about it is the fact that it's no matter if you stick up for your players, you still have an issue you have to deal with. And the fact is that he is still throwing balls, which he wasn't doing before. Not in any part of his career. Not really. And it's like now you have to wonder, is he overthinking it because they did the Jordan Walker thing? It's like the Cardinals doing Jordan Walker saying you have to hit the ball more in the air. He was destroying the ball, and they did that to him. Now they say to Hendricks, they're saying to him when things were well, and he had his surgery, they say, well, now we need more velocity. Why? He had near complete games and complete games with like 90 pitches. Why did your ego compel you to change anything? But now you're getting into his head, and it's like he needs to be what he was and just throw. Because that's what he did, and that was the guy who would get 2 pitches, get the guy out, get a ground ball. That's what Maddox did for over 20 years, never let anybody in their head. He never let anybody in his head. And it's like, and that's sometimes you just got to, and even if you have to get a sports psychologist, you got to get out of your own head and get people out of your head.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no issue with him getting ejected. The pitch was a ball, but, the umpire was calling it a strike previously. I forget the umpire's name. I actually, one of the few times I sat the first row behind home plate.
Well, it's just setting up the robots. All that is just setting up the thing for the robots. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I sat first row behind home plate years ago at Citi Field, and the same umpire was off behind the plate. Great guy. You saw he had a great relationship with all the players and everything. And, the managers, he's not like that type of umpire. Because, there are guys out there that, they want the game to be about them with their umpires. He isn't that guy. But unfortunately, nowadays, you can't argue balls and strikes. No issue with Ross getting ejected there.
No.
But at the same
robots.
time.
No, but I'm saying it's bringing the robot. It's speeding it up to bring the robots in.
It'll happen eventually. We're going down that road. And nobody wants to see that. And if they do, that's just horrible.
Well, the
Yeah.
big thing that we're seeing now is the era of people that don't want it. They're like 68 to 75. They will die
Right.
off. They'll die off. I love baseball as much as anything. I'm one of the youngest people to remember 1984. I was 6 years old. I'm one of the youngest. Everybody else that's remembered 1984 is about 60. I'm 45 coming up. And those are the things I'm talking about. That's the other thing I'm talking about without question is the fact that they're trying to bring, as much as we talk about all the new rules, the eventual robots, everything they're doing right now, we're not their people they're looking for watching. It's like maybe me as you, because we're not even 50 yet, So maybe we are the people, but they're not looking for tradition anymore. They're not looking for 68 to 75. They're wanting those kids, and they're trying anything to speed the game up so they keep them around.
Right. No, I definitely understand. And it's interesting. So what'd you see last night, game one, Cubs Angels?
That was such an unnecessary loss. And I had an idea the minute Ohtani hit that home run that something was going to happen. You just did. It's like, because they hit. That's the thing about them. You see a ton of 9-6 losses by the Angels, but you know what's in common with that? 6. They hit a ton of runs. They just have no pitching. They hit a ton of runs. They can hit them in piles. And I had an idea the minute Ohtani hits there. That's the Rafael Nadal right there in every match when you have him up 4-1, and then he just hits that one shot and that's it. Next 10 go to him. You know what I'm saying? That's what the Angels are. And the Cubs just don't have they're a fun team. They don't have the roster right now or the manager to be able to overcome that.
Yeah, no, I mean, unfortunately, you can't give up a bunch of runs quickly. That's a killer. You can't be up 4-1 and then give up 5, 6 runs at a pop and expect to win games like that, especially when you don't have timely hitting.
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate part of the puzzle that the Cubs do have to figure out, and they have to see where it could go. Game going on tonight just started about a half hour ago. At the moment, it is 0-0, top of the fourth.
Talian's starting to make his way back, which is what I was looking for. I'm hoping he's starting to look a little better last couple games.
Yeah, I mean, so right now, as far as hitting goes, Cubs have a whopping 0 hits, and the Angels not doing much better with 1 hit.
Yeah, that's the Cub. That's what I bring up with the Cubs. This has been the whole time with Ross. I don't know what the thing is, but they would get in these piles. He like 7 runs, and it's scary to see 7, 8, 10 runs with this team because the next week will be nothing. Like, because they had 7 runs in that game against San Diego, and what have they had since?
Right.
And then remember, they had 2 shutouts in that series. What have they had since? They had 4 yesterday, but then remember, they have no hits right now.
Right. No, definitely. It's just lack of hitting at the right times, and that's a big problem.
Well, see, what the Cubs kind of are right now is I've talked to a buddy of mine here and there. We'll talk all the time. Like, we'll talk about the Rockies. And what I keep saying with the Rockies is they're so stagnant. The Rockies are one of those teams that I would love to see just go bring the minor leaguers up, the ones that hustle the most. And then have a couple of mid-level veterans and just keep building from it. That's sort of what the Cubs did to start the World Series run in 2016. They might, who knows? It's like you got to do something. You know what I'm saying by itself? Because you don't want to be stagnant like the Rockies are right now.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to see, how the lack of hitting is a major problem. And we have to see what, like as Tyler's saying right here, that the bullpen is so bad, but to be honest with you, this year, the bullpen's actually not been as bad as it was last year. It's gotten better.
No,
You know,
that's no question there. They're just not hitting.
I think it depends on who's in the bullpen.
Yeah.
You know, who's being used. Like Fulmer's been awful. You know, when you look
Ross,
at
well, Bodkins brought that up last week, but it's like, Fulmer's been terrible, but it's like Ross has this psychology issue that he's done this whole time. He's due. The guy will have like an 8.5 ERA. He's due to get better, and keep throwing him out there. Yep. Every once in a blue moon, it starts to work, but he does it too often. Then it costs games.
Yeah, no, it's a big problem. His managing of the bullpen, I mean, it's horrible.
And look, I get it. I'll tell you who's due. If I'm managing, coaching something, I'm probably going to be the same way. But here's the thing: I'm not getting paid. I'm talking about by volunteer and everything like that, because I want to give them confidence. Sometimes it could work, but at some point you have to realize by itself that you just have to say, you got to sit you. We got to sit you, and we got to find a different role for you. You just have to do that. You can't keep costing games by being a nice guy.
No, not at all. So how do you figure the last game and a half shakes out, considering this game's tied, so anybody could win in tomorrow? How do you figure the couple of games shake out?
This is the thing about the Cubs. It's that last game could easily, the way that they're hitting right now, and they could easily win 1-0 or 2-1. Last game could have 10 runs, and then guess what? The rest of the week's gonna be garbage. That's the way, because you could just see that, because it is just their pattern. They find a way, they blow it up. The Angels don't have wonderful pitching, so they could easily blow it up. And stuff like that. But then the rest of the week of hitting will be garbage, because they get one and then they do that. Remember, they had the 7 runs. That's what they do. But they can. But the thing is, Cubs are not. I'd say they're a manager away. They've got a nice little roster. There's something they can build on. I would love them to get better for when Ohtani goes on the trade block, because I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I'd love to get better, but Ohtani's not going to go to a bad Cubs team. He needs to go to at least one that's 500 as a chance.
well, I mean, that goes to how do you feel they are in this division? This division's not a very good division. They're a winning streak away from being in first place or, in serious contention. So, it comes down to the little things.
No, sure.
Getting on base, not making the stupid throw, little things.
Not having Boston Red Sox Benny Hill music.
Exactly. I mean, so, and you look at this and, you say, wow, we're right there, but yet we're not.
Yes, it is. That's very, very true.
Now, let's go to a new segment we have this week. Actually, I'm going to do before we do that, I'm going to do our cover dud. Let's do Yan Gomes getting trade looks from the Padres. What's your thoughts on that?
Yan Gomes has been the one he's been the absolute one that's made the pitching look so good. And it's like, I mean, I've talked to Cardinals fans who were jealous with Gomes because he's not the most wonderful of hitters, and he'll get his nice shots, but the biggest thing about it is he's been calling these games perfectly this year. That would be devastating. That'd be devastating because he's been the one calling these games wonderfully. And it's like, you don't want the backup to have to go the rest of the year, which that could really bring, especially when the Cubs pitching is what's keeping him in it. You might want to keep Gomes around, especially when he's been helping.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't trade Gomes under any circumstance unless, you were getting something that was a piece you needed. And to me, Gomes is too invaluable at the moment, which is amazing because to me, he's always been a backup option wherever he was in my mind. But he's making the pitching staff look really good, and he's hitting timely. Probably one of the more timely hitters.
And I said at the beginning of the year, it was going to depend on, how do they handle pitching staff, because they don't remember the catchers are average about 220 now, but he's been pretty good. He's been pretty good. So it's like, I'll admit if there's some wrongs to it, but I also said that it depends how they handle the pitching staff, and boy, has he ever. That's why they're still around. That's why you have all these 1-0, 2-1 games. And
Without a
you
doubt.
can put that on him. So I sure as heck don't want to lose him.
Without a doubt. Now let's get to the new segment of the show. I got to give our producer a little credit for this. Denzel Snipes, sure enough, he picked somebody from Texas. So I think this was a homer job, a way to, let's talk some Texas stuff. But whatever, Denzel, we're going to take this and we're going to run with it, and we're going to make this, market watch, draft watch, whatever we want to call it. But let's talk about Trey Richardson and his NCAA performance, which was phenomenal. I mean, what can you say about this kid?
Oh, my Lord. I mean, right then and there. But here's the question I'm just going to say with this right now. They're still, I mean, it's the NCAA. They're still the aluminum, right? Aluminum bats.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. They're still aluminum. It's different. It's a different weight, different swing, different all that stuff. So how he goes into the majors, who knows? It's a different weight. But I can tell you, from something like that whatsoever, it's obvious he's got skill. It's obvious he's got skill, and it's like, I want to watch again because we're going to see if he has another one or two big games, because that could get him popping right to the top. He has another two, because you can have that one time. Everybody has one in their life, but if he can keep going like that, he'd be wonderful. But going in the majors, now you're swinging wood bats, which you haven't swung in your 4 years. You know what I'm saying, or 3 years or whatever. It's a little bit of a different weight. You got to get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say this. To have 11 RBIs, 2 grand slams, and a 3 home run day when it matters,
Yes.
you're somebody that I want to keep my eye on and see where you're going to end up.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about Trey Richardson before that performance.
Thank you, Denzel.
But, what a phenomenal performance, and to just do that. I'm curious to see what he did throughout the year. Denzel not providing me the full picture here.
Like I said, everybody can have that one time in a lifetime, but that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Once you get to the majors, now you've got it's the game a little faster, and then the weight of the bat is different and everything.
I see him working the phone right now trying to figure it out.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Whatever it is, I'm sure, though, it's not easy to hit 3 home runs in a game.
No.
It's not easy to get 11
Oh, he's
RBIs.
talented. That's talent.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the Cubs are down 1-0. Trout homered.
Trout, Ohtani, everybody's homered.
Yeah.
It's a home
Game's
fest.
probably over now.
Wow. That's horrible. Well, it's better than the basketball game. I don't know what happened after halftime. It's just been ugly.
Well, the Nuggets are good. It's like, I mean, people have heard me on the Sunday Night Basket Bros. I said the Denver in 7, and it's probably going to be a real close 7th game. And it's like, this looks like it's going to be, I mean, Miami could easily come back and get this, so it looks like it might do that way.
Yeah. I'm disappointed that Miami had an opportunity here. I mean, winning or losing, whatever. They could have lost the game, but to me, being down 18 here, it's almost like they haven't showed up,
Well, you expect to get coming back, and they could easily win game 4, I mean, Miami's a good team.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. So, before we get going, where can people find you, Mr. Ubzo? Here we go, our producer, Denzel. So
320, that's good. But the 6 homers, that's the funny part. He's not a power hitter, and he hit power.
Listen, it's all about average.
I know, but I love the average. I'm saying it's amazing he hit his one time in his lifetime, his 3 homers. He's not a home run hitter.
That won't happen, That won't make it in the major leagues now. You got to hit like 20, 30 homers.
I had to come on here and just add to a point. If you think about it, Jacob, this is right up your alley, and I'll explain why. You talk all the time about how chicks dig the long ball. It's home run or bust, right?
Yeah.
What did you say? More batters need to make contact.
Mm-hmm.
Is that not what he's doing? He's getting on base. Now he had an amazing. He had a Herculean day. Okay, and it might be his one, but you can't ignore the 320.
I don't ignore the 320.
You can't ignore the 320, brother.
I love the 320.
It may not be in volumes, but he's getting on base, and that's something that every team needs.
Oh yeah, no, I love that 320. Love it. It's like that's
phenomenal.
what I want to see more of myself anyway, and I want to know what his on base percentage is.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure I'll dig that up here.
I'll bet you it's over 400. I'll bet you it's over 400. That'll get me.
Yeah. I say he actually I saw he had he was a 600 something slugger average.
Did you see Acuna's on base percentage like 430?
Yeah.
with a 320 average? It's like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but no, I had to come on here and say, like, hey, listen, he's making contact, he's getting on base.
Yep, that's what I like.
And that's all you can ask for, like, you know.
Yep, and that's the big truth. No doubt about that. As far as where I am, I just got. I mean, Sunday night some Basket Bros. I just had an interview. I just had an interview with Scott on Monday. Had a nice interview that was on a Sunday with Robert Cobb. Then I was over at the Austin Riley inaugural golf event for veterans. I was over there representing Sideline Sports. Awesome. So that was pretty cool. I got to meet Dale Murphy, Austin Riley, Travis Darno. So it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I got to represent. Oh, yeah, and Clint Dempsey, too. Got to meet him also. So it was pretty cool.
Yes.
And then, so anyway, I did the Monday nights, Tuesdays off, Wednesdays, 3 shows, the Pundits Pundit, the Sports Exchange, and the Sports Exchange and Cubfidential. Thursdays, when we get ourselves back, we're looking at getting ourselves back. We're trying to figure times, Yin and Yang, which is off our screen. It's off Sideline Sports, but it's a nice little show to have. And then when I'm called off the bench, I go to oh wow, love it. And then when I'm called off the bench, I go to Gauntlet when I'm called off the bench. So and I've been there 13 times now, so it's a fun little show. I enjoy that. But
who's counting?
Yeah, well, yeah, I know who's counting, right? And I enjoy it, and I've also helped work on a couple movies, so I stay busy.
Well, Mr. Ubbs, the one and only, the Pundits Pundit, great show tonight. We'll do it again next week. Maybe we can win more games than we lose this week.
Yep.
Well, let's hope. But
did it last week, 4-3, so we'll see.
We need to do it every week.
Exactly.
Every week. But let's start with this week coming up. Let's try 5 wins. Let's do something magical.
That, yes.
A couple of weeks like that in a row. But till next week, this is Sideline Sports, Cubfidential. Don't forget Tuesday night, NFL Alumni Media. And then, of course, our Wednesday slate. We got shows every day of the week. Let's talk sports. Great network joining up with us. If you're not watching, I don't know what you're doing. Till next week, Denzel, take us out of here.